History remembers kings and conquerors, but some men live lives so extraordinary that they resemble myths rather than mortals. This is the saga of Harald Hardrada, a boy exiled from his homeland, a mercenary in distant lands, a bodyguard of emperors, a king who dreamed of ruling England, and the man many call the last great Viking king. From the frozen fjords of Norway to the golden palaces of Constantinople, from the steppes of Russes to the bloody fields of Stamford Bridge, Harald's life was a journey of ambition, war, and glory. Tonight we tell the forgotten story of the warrior who shook 3 empires and whose death marked the end of the Viking Age. Harald Sigurdsson was born in the year 1015 into a world of fire and steel. He was the youngest half-brother of Olaf II, King of Norway, later remembered as Saint Olaf. But Harald's childhood was not filled with peace. Norway was a land divided, caught between powerful warlords, Christian kings, and the old Viking traditions still clinging to life. At the age of just 15, Harald's destiny would be sealed in blood. In 1030, Olaf led his army into battle at Stiklestad, a desperate attempt to reclaim his throne from Danish-backed rivals. The clash was brutal, shield against shield, axe against spear. Olaf fell that day, struck down in battle, and Norway slipped further from his family's grasp, but not all was lost. Among the chaos, the young Harald fought with courage far beyond his years. He was wounded, but he survived. With the kingdom lost, he was forced into exile. The boy who had been a prince became a fugitive, yet in his exile, Harald carried within him a burning fire. He swore that one day he would return, not just as a king of Norway, but as a legend. Harald fled eastward, into the vast lands of the Kievan Rus. In the city of Novgorod, he found sanctuary under Grand Prince Yaroslav the Wise. Yaroslav was no stranger to exiled nobles, and Harald soon became a commander in his armies. For the next few years, the young Viking prince fought across the steppes, battles against raiders, skirmishes with rival principalities, endless campaigns on horseback and riverboats. It was here that Harald learned the art of war on a grand scale. He honed his skills as a tactician, as a leader of men. His ferocity earned him respect, his ambition both admiration and fear, but Harald's gaze stretched beyond the steppes. He had heard of a city greater than all others, a city of marble palaces and golden domes, Constantinople, the queen of cities, the jewel of the Byzantine Empire, and it was there that Harald would carve his legend. When Harald reached Constantinople, he entered a world unlike any he had ever seen. The Byzantine Empire was ancient, powerful, and dazzling in its wealth. Its capital, Constantinople, stood as the most magnificent city in the known world, and within its walls was the Varangian Guard, an elite unit of foreign warriors, famed for their loyalty, feared for their ferocity. These were Vikings who had sworn oaths to protect the emperor himself. Harald joined their ranks and soon rose to prominence. He fought in Sicily, in Anatolia, and even against Arab pirates in the Mediterranean. Some sagas claim he fought in the Holy Land itself, marching beneath the blazing sun to Jerusalem. Harald grew rich, not only in plunder, but in gold and treasures gifted by emperors. Yet in the court of Byzantium, riches also brought envy. Harald was imprisoned for a time, the victim of courtly intrigue. But as with every turn in his life, he endured. When he finally left Byzantium, he did so with immense wealth, stories of countless victories, and the hardened spirit of a warrior who had seen the world. After nearly 2 decades abroad, Harald returned north. He went first to Kiev, where he married Elisiv, daughter of Yaroslav the Wise. This union gave Harald prestige and powerful allies. By 1046, Harald returned to Norway, no longer a boy, no longer an exile. He was a man of immense wealth, battle-tested, a leader feared and respected. He came not as a fugitive, but as a claimant to the throne, through alliances, through force, and through ruthless ambition. Harald Hardrada secured his crown. At last, the exiled prince had become king. Harald's reign as King of Norway was marked by both greatness and tyranny. He was called Hardrada, hard ruler. For his iron will and ruthless methods, rivals were crushed, rebels silenced. His justice was swift, often brutal, but he also strengthened Norway. He built a powerful navy, expanded trade, and brought riches to his land. The sagas paint a complex portrait, a man feared by his enemies, but also respected by his people for the stability he brought. Yet Harald was not content. His gaze drifted westward across the sea, to a land he believed was his by right, England. In 1066, Harald Hardrada prepared the greatest gamble of his life. When Edward the Confessor of England died childless, the throne was contested. Harold Godwinson claimed it, but Harald Hardrada saw his own opportunity. With a fleet of nearly 300 ships and thousands of warriors, Harold set sail. He stormed the English coast, burning towns, striking terror. At the Battle of Fulford, he crushed the northern earls, his forces unstoppable, but fate was already moving against him. Only days after Fulford, King Harold Godwinson marched north with his army. On September 25, 1066, the two forces met at Stamford Bridge. Harald Hardrada stood tall, a warrior of 51 hardened by decades of war. The battle was fierce, the clash of shield walls echoing across the fields. For a moment, victory seemed possible, but an arrow found its mark. Striking Harold in the throat, the king fell, the last great Viking king, slain on English soil. Of the 300 ships that had carried his army, only 24 returned. Weeks later, William of Normandy would invade England at Hastings. But the Viking Age ended with Harald Hardrada. Harald Hardrada's life was a saga unlike any other, an exiled boy who became a mercenary, a warrior who guarded emperors, a king who dreamed of conquest, and a man whose death marked the end of an era. His name lives on, not only in the sagas of the Vikings, but in the echoes of history itself. For when Harald Hardrada fell at Stamford Bridge, the age of the Vikings fell with him.